And here we go with the CMC Fabrication 150 at Daytona International Speedway. Bobby Brill bringing the do-gooders #1. Oh, and Matt Johnson already. One way in, one way out, 125. Danny Dow in second. And we are green flag. Bobby Brill takes the green.
I'll tell you what, it's great, but at the same time, man, the nerves and stress are just running through my veins right now.
But looks like Jake Rowell is gonna hang on and win the Midnight Cheese Grater 75 here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Oh, and Bobby Brill into the wall, first turn.
Straight into the wall. Pass going inside.
Oh!
Dean with our leader.
Dean Brummett wins the Between the Lines 70 here at the Roval. Congratulations to our first two-time winner. And there they go. Oh no! And there it goes. Oh, nope, yellow flag. So we are going to have a green-white checker. I don't know. Chad Wampler taking the checkered flag here at Talladega. Troy Dow, the #2 State Dance Racing car, is going to come in and win the Paint by Night Monster Match at Monster Mile 75.
And boogity, 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 we're green flag racing in the Indy.
And Troy Dow just gets into him, or Bobby Brill is going to take the victory here at the Battle of the Brickyard 185.
Troy Dow hard on the loud pedal, green flag in the air in Pocono. Danny Dow gonna bring this one home. Week number 9, it is throwback week.
Jake Rowell gets a huge restart.
Oh, they're wrecking already. The DuPont team reigns supreme at the Graphic Capital 125.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Number 48, Brandon Keith, bringing us to the start line. And you can hear how much off the gas Daniel Bowdler has to get. Mid-South Madness, week number 10. Daniel Bowdler is the king. Good evening, everyone, and welcome out to Mid-South Madness. This is week number 11. This is a huge week because tonight we go to the road course, Watkins Glen International. That is the Road Rumble 125 at the Glen. We have 50 laps out here on this amazing course. 2 fast repairs, top 8 are getting paid tonight, and man, the stakes could not be higher tonight because we are only 2 weeks away from making the cuts to the playoffs, and this race is going to allow some people that are road course masters to jump in to the playoffs or possibly to increase their standing in the league itself. And so this could be a huge night for someone to pull off a win that maybe they wouldn't be able to get somewhere else, or for someone else to move up the standings. And so we're going to have a lot of that going on tonight. So just to check out the standings, so after week 10, so the guys in the green, they are the ones that are currently in because they won races. So Dean Brummett, Bobby Brill, Jake Rowell, each with 2 wins. Then you have Troy Dow, Danny Dow, Chad Wampler, and Daniel Bowdler, all with 1 win. One thing to point out there is that 3 of Stake Dance Racing's team has already won their way in to the playoffs. So then down below you have the yellows. These are the ones that are currently in based on the cut line and the points. Adam Pettit pretty much almost guaranteed to get in. You can only get 42 points per race, so as long as he doesn't do something drastic today, then he will point his way in regardless. Chris Massey, again, one of those that he's way up there, and he's pretty good at road courses, so this could be a huge night for him. Aaron Gerwitz from Rev Racing, Joseph DuPont, Devin Zimmerman, Justin Boyles, Taylor Smith, Matthew Johnson, all in based on points right now. But then you look at the right side of the screen. So these are the people that are not currently in. And you'll see towards the bottom of that list, it says must win. And that's because there is no mathematically possible way for them to point their way in. So they have to win in order to get there. And so a few things to note tonight while you're looking at the screen. So take a look at Justin Boyles there in 13th place. He is not here this evening. And so that is definitely going to do some damage to his playoff hopes. He will likely fall outside the playoff cut line. However, he is a great racer. He'll come back next week at Chicagoland and try to get his way back in there. Also, AJ Pritchett in 16th position. So the first one outside the cut. He is not here tonight either. And so a really big opportunity here for Sean Dice and Stan Hausman especially to possibly jump up a little bit based on their standing tonight. So if they have a clean race tonight, and we'll mention this a lot tonight, if they just have a clean race tonight, then they have a huge opportunity to gain some points. So tonight I'm joined by Brandon Superman Bran Browning. Superman, how's it going, buddy?
Oh, it's going good, man. Running just a hair behind. Had some kids didn't want to go to sleep tonight. One of them started school on Friday, so they're amped up about going back to school tomorrow. So I'm here now, though. I'm good.
Sounds good, man. Well, here we are. We are here at Watkins Glen International. And so you've raced this race, and you've raced this race with MidSouth Madness before. What do you expect to see tonight with more drivers than we've ever had out on the track at the same time?
I think we're going to see more of the same that we saw at the Charlotte Roval. I mean, I could probably give you 10 guys right off the top of my head that are going to be fast. They're going to be at the front. And then I'm going to give you, like, right off the bat on top of that, 10 more guys that don't really shine in road course racing. And that's where they're going to fall behind. They're going to get in the way of these leaders. And I'm not saying they're trying to, Sean. I'm just saying, by design, with this track not being as wide, there being some really tight corners, they're going to get in the way of some of these leaders. And we saw, back at the Charlotte Roval, we saw, Joseph DuPont got into an issue. He was running in the top 5. He got knocked out of the top 5. Excellent road course racer. Same with Marshall Stanley. Got involved in an incident not of his own doing. Just come around the heartburn turn. Boom, ran into some guys, and it took him out of the win. He almost ran his way back down, but Dean Brummett kind of come away with that one. And I think that's going to be the big thing here, Sean, is what I expect to see is plenty of guys unintentionally getting in the way of fast guys that really rock and roll around this place.
Yeah, man. So we're looking at the standings right now up on our screen, and so we just mentioned one of those really good road course guys there in the 13th position, Justin Boyles. He is not here tonight, and so a really interesting scenario there where this could have been one of those races where he could have cemented his way into the playoffs, but now he's going to fall back a little bit. But who do you see on this list that is not currently in the playoffs that could cement their way into the playoffs because of a win tonight?
I'm going to give you 2 drivers. One that's a given. I mean, you choose. Actually, I'll give you 3. 3 guys. One of them's so close to being locked in, but we're going to take that out of it. Adam Pettit. I think he's just got the drive to get there. I think, even if he doesn't bring a win here, he's going to pretty much lock himself in mathematically after this. I think he's pretty close right now being locked in. But Adam Pettit. My guy that I think is actually going to go do the dang thing, Joseph DuPont. Haven't really seen a lot out of Joseph DuPont. He's been running a lot of road courses. Not necessarily, I haven't been around the practices this week, so I don't know that he's really been running a lot of the practice sessions with MSM. But I know he's been running a lot of road course races in a lot of different series. And then the guy that I think that has put in probably the most practice here, he's on a new steering wheel setup. He's ready to go. He's just outside. He's not in a must-win yet, Sean, but I think David Duke has been putting in all kind of laps here. So I think he's trying to match what his teammate Danny Dow's done. The only SRN driver right now in the playoffs is Danny Dow. So I think David Duke either one closes the gap or two comes out of here with a win. But, of course, you can't count out Marshall Stanley either. Marshall Stanley's in a spot where he has to win to join the playoffs. If he does not win, we won't see him racing for the money at the end, in the last few races of the season. So those guys are all on my list of drivers to watch. I'm just looking down here again to see if maybe there's someone I missed. I know Mike Lepicki ran solid here, but I don't know that he has the speed to run with some of these other guys. Yeah, I believe that's about it. I believe it'll be one of those guys, Sean. Those are my quick takes on the race.
Well, it's interesting that you said Marshall Stanley because TR, Thomas Rutherford, got a chance to sit down with Marshall Stanley this week and kind of talk about what's going to happen here at Watkins Glen. So let's take a look at TR's corner this week with Marshall Stanley from Flashpoint Racing.
Hey, folks, welcome to another edition of TR's Corner, road racing edition tonight. We're going to the Glen, and we have one of our road racing specialists, none other than Marshall Stanley, joining us. Marshall, how are you?
Doing good, man. How you doing?
Doing good. Just got back from Bristol. Got to watch the elimination race last night there. Wasn't a wreck fest like you'd expect at some Bristol races, but still exciting racing. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Just got done watching 24-hour Le Mans, finally getting my sleep in. I think I fell asleep at about 4 or 5 in the morning. So it was a good race to watch. Caught Bristol and a few other ones in between. So very eventful weekend.
Good racing weekend. And hopefully from the SRN standpoint, I think there's been some chatter around some road races starting practices this week. So hopefully we can get a group of drivers together and start that as well.
Yeah. As far as practice goes, it's fun to get around here. I think traffic will be definitely just as key as it was at the Roval. So hopefully hoping for the best.
Yeah. So talking about the race tonight, I want to start with you though. Racing experience. You do some real world racing as well as iRacing. What got you into racing and what got you into iRacing? What's your story?
So my pops used to be really good friends with Steve and Pat Patrick from the kart side, which would be IndyCar now. Back in 80s and 90s, they were really good friends. So I got kind of grown up through kart and IndyCar and a few other things just from racing being so tight-knit. Everyone's really together and everyone's got a common interest. So you meet a lot of people through that. And I kind of grew up at age 5. I was in a kid kart. At age 6, I was doing go-karts and dirt bikes at that time and kind of did that in between like normal high school sports like football and basketball and stuff like that. So it was definitely hard to try to do everything all at once, but I always enjoyed racing just because it was kind of like an escapism from everything. You could jump in a helmet and no one's going to be bothering you except for the person in your ear, and that's it. And went all the way up to 16 and started taking it a little bit more seriously, going competitive karting, like spending almost, I want to say like 30 weeks out of the year just traveling to go to places, and got up into production cars and like GT stuff. And money just became an issue to where it was very tough to do everything and work and just try to get everything together with family stuff. And found iRacing and have been on iRacing for a very long time just to help for testing and practice, getting used to tracks. And at this point, I'm now kind of getting back into maybe doing something SCCA wise. But iRacing is kind of the main thing that keeps my competitive drive going. So it'll definitely be mostly on the iRacing side. But yeah, real world experience definitely helps. I think they both translate both ways. You learn a lot from both of them, and it helps in the long run.
It's definitely helping you on your road courses because tonight, as you alluded to, we're road course racing. We're going to the Glen. You came into MidSouth Madness, into the league. We've got MidSouth Madness presented by Speed Racing Network. But now you're on Flashpoint Racing with Justin Boyles and a couple of the folks that he's picked up, and he's got the IVCS League. How did you go from independent over to Flashpoint Racing?
So I was running with Adam and Sean from Rev'd in a Monday Night League, and Brandon Key as well in a Monday Night League with Erska. And we all kind of ran together, and we were all in the same general speed. And Adam was the one that put me on to the MidSouth League. And I thought it was great, even though I was kind of on the fence of scheduling with other leagues if I was going to be able to make all of them. And the main thing was I knew Adam had a squad of 4 that he liked. So I was like, well, if you need any help from me, let's do it. If not, like, I'm totally fine being an independent. And then Matt and Justin both kind of came up with an idea of putting 4 independent guys together. And I figured since Rev kind of had their squad set up at that time, I figured it might as well just run with the team and take a shot at the team championship, or at least help them out the best way I can. And I kind of makes me laugh because like the Flashpoint squad's kind of like a team of independents in itself, at least in the Mid-South League. So it's a lot of fun. I have a good time with Jonathan, Justin, Matt, everybody. We have a good time in chat, and I feel like we're on a good level of seriousness and still having fun. So it's been great.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's definitely the Raider team, right, coming into the league.
Yeah, it truly is. We're like kind of the bad guys. Yeah, and I'm cool with that. Like I know Senior or Earnhardt used to love that back in the day, and I bet Kyle loves being the bad guy sometimes. So it's nice. I mean, people are definitely watching their back, and if they aren't, whatever. Like I'm just there to compete at the end of the day. So, and I enjoy every minute of it.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And so, you have a really good chance, speaking of competing tonight in this road course. It's a win to get in scenario for you. I think you're sitting 30th, 31st in points. The Roval, lots of disappointment there. You have the strongest car spins, you kind of get clipped and taken out. You drive like a madman trying to get back to I mean, all that behind you and all the focus is tonight on the Glen. You think you got a good chance of winning, or still a little bit of that left in the background?
I mean, mostly, I feel like it felt like it was like 2 months ago. It seems like it was been so long. I kind of take things day by day, and like I've had so many races where you have heartbreak, and it's like you knew you kind of had the car to at least win, if nothing happened. And usually by the next day, once I slept it off, it's kind of like, all right, just worry about the next one coming up. So I kind of treat every race the same. If I'm doing good, like I don't expect to win, even if I'm the fastest car out there, because so many things can happen and there's a lot of stuff you can't control. So I'm just more worried about what I can do, and whatever happens, happens. And if I win, it's great. If not, I'll just keep working until next week to try to get another win. So we'll see how it goes. And there's a lot of good people, guys, out there. Jacob's doing well. I mean, Dean winning the Roval, he was not a slouch at the Roval at all. So, I mean, there's a lot of good guys other than me that will definitely have a chance today.
No, and I expect to see the same cars be strong tonight, yours included. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on the race tonight overall? I mean, you've practiced this week. We've been in a few sessions. What are you thinking?
I think, from what I can tell, I think the main thing is going to be actually pit strategy, which will actually be kind of odd, and saving tires. Tire wear seems to be a big thing, and you can lose a lot of time, especially going up through the S's. And it's hard to tell if you can maybe get an undercut done, but I guess tonight we're going to find out and see what works. I don't really know what strategy I'm going to go for, but I'm going to try my best. And once lap 1 and 2 goes through, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, depending on qualifying, I think track position at the start's going to really determine that strategy. So we will see, and I look forward to racing with you tonight. Marshall Stanley, good luck. Hopefully
Thanks, man.
We can get door to door on the track this evening.
Yeah, no, it should be a fun time. Everyone, all the other competitors, good luck tonight. We should have a fun show.
Thanks.
All right, and there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. TR's Corner. We absolutely love Thomas Rutherford. Was up in the broadcast booth with me for a while. Now he is down there on the racetrack doing it. But Marshall Stanley from Flashpoint Racing, that team, he said that it was 4 individuals that just kind of came together to make up a team. And if you look at the team standings, they're kind of down on the list right now. But like he was saying, 4 fantastic individual drivers just never really quite gelled.
Yeah, and that's the big thing that, the 2 things that I want to hit on for Flashpoint Racing. One being the fact that they haven't really gelled as a team. It was kind of a last-minute thrown-together thing, Sean. And on top of that, with Justin Boyle's crazy work schedule, it's hard for him to make all the races. And typically, not down in Marshall Stanley, Jonathan Byer, Matt Johnson, any of those guys, but typically Boyles is their front runner. Boyles is the guy that goes up there and kind of gets in the trenches, so to speak, and just knocks the points out and brings them home a good day. And when you take away, when you look at any team, you take away the worst driver, it doesn't hurt you as bad, Sean, because you're scored on your 3 best drivers. But when you take away one of the best drivers on that team, it really starts to hurt what happens to your team in, accordance with staying at the top of the point standings.
Yeah, it does. And you can see on the screen right now, the Risk It for the Brisket Team Championship sponsored by Steak Dance Seasoning. If you like steak and you like chicken, you like any type of meat at all, Steak Dance Seasoning has the seasoning for you. So www.steakdance.com, pick up a really good steak seasoning. And that is one thing that we have just about every week here in our house. It is absolutely fantastic. So up top, you see Striker Motorsports. They have a nice 26-point lead on Revved Racing there.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, Sean. I think tonight might be the night where these standings take a shakeup. I think right now, even though they're down about 48 points, I think Steak Dance Racing, speaking of Steak Dance, I see Chad Wampler out there. Chad Wampler, excellent road course driver. Daniel Bowdler, I don't know if there's a track where that guy's not fast, if he could just stay above the luck that we've seen for him, which has been super unfortunate. Those guys, even Stan Houseman and Troy Dow, all fast road course racers, Sean. I think if I had to pick a team to come out of here with the best opportunity, I think it's Steak Dance Racing in third.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. But, I mean, other teams on here really have fallen off. So it's kind of like a three-team race at this point, at least. Still a lot of racing to go in the season, obviously. But Tank Racing down there in fourth with 634 points. Team SRN, they have a chance to move ahead there because Team SRN are good road course drivers as well. Do-gooders there in sixth. Bronco in seventh. Flashpoint, who we just talked about, in eighth. And then you have H2K Motorsports and Jam Racing coming up in ninth and 10th.
Yeah, and those guys down at the bottom, just to go back to the driver standings, those guys down at the bottom are excluding, Bronco Motorsports, who haven't had Bobby Brill the entire season. Those guys, when you look at them down at the bottom there, you really kind of see them being in the bottom in points. You also see them lacking in the win column. We've seen Boyles run good for Flashpoint Racing. DuPont's kind of led the way for H2K, and overall, a combination of Jay Graves and Mike Lewis leading the way for Jam Racing. But honestly, Sean, we haven't really seen the season out of them where, we've even looked to them to say, hey, maybe this is the race for these guys, that they really come up here and punch through. Obviously, I think the best shot amongst our bottom three teams tonight, Marshall Stanley for Flashpoint Racing. I think he has the best opportunity to punch a win for those bottom three teams. And obviously, if you come out of here with a win, Sean, you come out of here with the max points possible, and that'll help in that team championship.
Sure will. So $200 first place for the best team out there at the end of the season. But let's go through our team introductions here, sponsored by Paints by Night. If you have any painting needs on iRacing at all, Ashton Knight on Trading Paints, Paints by Night. He is your guy. He does a lot of these paint schemes that are out on the racetrack tonight. Fantastic guy, fantastic painting ability. So definitely give him a follow on Trading Paints, and also you can go to speedracingnetwork.com so you can contact him to get your own custom paint made.
Car business by day, paints by night.
No, I love that. I'm gonna steal that.
I've been meaning to tell Corey that, personally, but I just haven't caught up with him. So maybe that's his new slogan.
That's a good one. So let's start off with Striker Motorsports. So again, up at the top of the standings, you have the number 71 of Travis Trevelyan, the number 25 of Dean Brummett with a couple wins there, the number 9 of Jake Roel with a couple wins, and the number 15 of Jacob Smith.
Super fast guys all around the board. I mean, each and every one of those guys has a potential to find their way to victory lane. Obviously, two of them have found it more than once, and I think Jacob Smith joins them before too long. Next up, we have the guys that I arguably said would be the team to beat here tonight. We have Steak Dance Racing, led by Daniel Bowdler in the 6 car, Chad Wampler in the 812, Troy Dow in the 2. The 3 guys have found victory lane. And last but certainly not least, as talented as any other guys on the team, Stan Houseman in the 39. I think he finds victory lane before the end of the season.
Well, if he doesn't find victory lane, he is actually one of the 3 people that are just outside the point standings right now, just outside the cut line. So he has a chance to point his way in anyway. So really fantastic racers here. They should be higher up in the standings, and maybe they will be after tonight. All right, next up, Revved Racing. These guys have been really consistent all year long. They've been up towards the top all year long. The 09 of Aaron Gerwitz, the 48 of Brandon Key, the 57 of Adam Pettit, and the 87 of Sean Dice. Again, just really, really consistent drivers.
Yeah, and I think arguably one of the best teams in the league. The one thing that you miss on this slide every time we see it is the red and white, red, white, and black checkered flag beside their names. They just haven't found victory lane. Of course, each and every one of those drivers has been close in one week or another, Sean, but just haven't got there yet. Next up, we have the guys that are like the flatter pilots, Tank Racing. I mean, these guys are fast everywhere, but when they're fast, Sean, they're fast together. We do have the 4 solid core of those drivers, the 33 of Devin Zimmerman, the 46 of Michael Lipicki, the 555 of Derek Da Silva, who've been here for ages, it seems like, in Mid-South Madness, joined by the newcomer, so to speak, who in some races has outran the old guard, the 79 of A.J. Pritchett.
Man, A.J. Pritchett had a couple of back-to-back second place finishes there for a while. Mike Lipicki always fast, especially on road courses. Zimmerman is always right there in the mix. Da Silva's had some bad luck this year, but you can't put it past any of these guys to come into victory lane. Next up, we got Pure Speed. This is Team SRN. Number 78 of David Duke, the number 21 of Danny Dow, who does have a win already on the season, the number 17 of Danny Setzer, and the number 44, my old partner, Thomas Rutherford.
Yeah, and it's crazy to me, when you look at this team, Sean, and you see that only one of them have a win. When we were at Daytona, any of these drivers had to be at the top of everyone's odds-on favorites, and Danny Dow, the only one that's found his way into the playoffs. David Duke just outside of the cut line. Thomas Rutherford in a must-win situation. Danny Setzer somewhere in the middle. I think they've got to start getting it done, and I saw them running, their practice runs here on the track in practice, trying to figure it out, learn to pass. I think they get at least 1, maybe 2 more guys in the playoffs before it's done.
Next up, we got Flashpoint Racing, and so this is the team that we were talking about a little bit earlier. So the number 8 of Justin Boyles is not here tonight. The number 66 of Jonathan Byer, number 62 of Matt Johnson, and the 00 of Marshall Stanley, who we think has one of the best shots out here tonight.
Yeah, and all of these guys here have been solid all season, Sean. They haven't really, slacked off at any point, but a couple missed races here and there for each one of these drivers. And obviously, Boyles, we touched on his crazy work schedule. It's hard for him to make each week. So these guys are a solid core team. And if you take the race a little bit of time, either way, earlier or later, I think these guys are a force to be reckoned with. Next up, we do have probably the coolest team name I've ever seen, the Do-Gooders. Taylor Smith in the 24, Corey Knight in the 90. Again, Paints by Night, that's your guy. 93 of Brad Yoinkman, and one of my really good friends and fast drivers who, honestly, Kyle, if you watch this back, or if you guys are watching, man, I think you've got a shot to run with anyone in this league. You're as fast and as talented as everyone, man. You just haven't had the speed yet, and that's my big takeaway, or my big dig on the Do-Gooders, is because they do have the talent. Above all else, not speaking of the top 3 drivers there, Kyle Spies has as much talent as anyone else in this league, and I think before it's all said and done, he makes his name known here in Mid-South Madness.
Next up, we got Bronco Motorsports, and this is a team that started off as Wild Bill Motorsports and then changed their name, changed their attitude, changed their paint schemes. But we got Chris Massey out there, who's a fantastic road racer himself, Greg Olnick, Brad Herman, and Bobby Brill, who has 2 wins on the season. But Bobby's not here tonight. Of course, he doesn't need it. He's already in.
Yeah, and Bobby Brill, man, he's really kind of turned that team. And I know they've had some new drivers and some changes and things have been going their way. But ever since Bobby Brill joined these guys, it's been, it's been a total 360 of how this team runs and works together. We've seen more of Bronco Motorsports at the front than we've seen prior. And I think that's really big. I'm not saying it's all Bobby Brill, being the guy that carried them there, but something about him joining this team has just made them mesh so well together, Sean. Next up, we do have the guys that realistically I know can perform. H2K Motorsports, they got the guy on it tonight that's my favorite to win. I don't know if he's, quite there yet with his season that he's had. He hasn't really had a bad season, but he's had a quiet one. We do have the 13 of Josh Witt, the 19 of Justin Krukman, the 42 of Duncan Staraska, and the guy that I was just referencing, the 88 of Joseph DuPont. Probably one of the best road racers that I know, just hasn't found the luck this year, Sean.
That's absolutely right. Now, finally, we have Jam Racing. This is the number 5 of Mike Lewis, the number 4 of Jay Graves, number 317 of Brandon Arciero, and the number 96 of Joe Ruggles. And they're out there, and yes, they're working really, really hard each week. Yes, they are last in the standings. However, you're not going to find a team out there that works harder than these guys.
Yeah, and that's for sure, especially when you look at the name at the top there, right under Jam Racing, Mike Lewis. I'm telling you guys, again, I say it every single week that I'm here. My odds-on pick for the Man's Best Friend Award, first and foremost, but second, if we had a hardest working award with a guy that's put in the most work and tried to get better from where they were when the season started, that also has to go to Mike Lewis, in my opinion, because he's working. When he's not working his job, he's on the track somewhere working, trying to get better, Sean.
Well, hey, man, we do this for fun, but we also do this for money. So Paints by Night is sponsoring a Do-Gooder Safe Driver Award. So the safest driver that's out there, the one that gets in the least number of incidents, they're going to get $50 at the end of the season. Brookstone Animal Hospital, they came up with a Man's Best Friend Award, which you just kind of mentioned. So $50 to just the best guy out there, not the one that's the fastest necessarily, but just the best dude out there. And then $25 to the charity of that winner's choice as well. And then Stake Dance obviously has the team championship, so the Risk It for the Brisket team championship, so $200 to that. And then the granddaddy of them all, the season-long grand champion, gets $500.
Yeah, and that's a lot of money, but what we're missing out on, Sean, is the time to qualify for that money. So it's closing down now. But on the other end of things, tonight we are going to pay some drivers based on their finishing position. The Road Rumble 125 at Watkins Glen International Speedway. First place tonight, Sean's going to take home $65 big dollars. Second place, not bad. You make it $35. Third place is going to net you $25. Fourth place, $20. Fifth and sixth place are going to bring you $15, and seventh and eighth still, you're going to make even $10, Sean. But the big thing that I think is going to be hard to do here tonight, you see it at the bottom in red, the Paints by Night Do-Gooders Clean Race bonus. I don't know if anyone gets it tonight, but it'll be tough.
It will definitely be tough. Well, let's take a look down on the track. So qualifying is done. Jacob Smith from Stryker Motorsports, he has been the fastest in practice all week long, and he is up there on the pole position. But don't look past Daniel Bowdler in Stake Dance Racing, not too far off.
Yeah, and even honestly, just looking at these guys, anyone in the top 10 is pretty much where I expected the top 10 to be. But third place, you've got Marshall Stanley looking for redemption tonight. And fourth place, the guy that stole the Charlotte Roval away from him in some people's minds, Dean Brummett.
Joseph DuPont, one of your picks there. So he is in fifth. Again, fantastic road course driver. He's had a down year, but this could be his turnaround. And then Danny Dow from Team SRN in sixth.
Yeah, and his teammate right behind him in seventh place, David Duke, looking to punch his way into the playoffs. Hasn't got it done yet, but Matthew Johnson here tonight trying to match what his teammate Marshall Stanley's going to do in eighth place, Sean.
And then up in ninth, Chad Wampler from Stake Dance Racing. And then his teammate, Stan Hausman, who, again, if he has a really good race tonight, he could point his way into the playoffs. So he's up in 10th.
Yeah, and in 11th place, we have the guy that drives the hardest at all times. It's JFR, Jake Roel. Already found victory lane twice, just kind of looking for a payday here tonight, so to speak. Maybe some more glory in being the guy at the top of the standings solely with 3 wins. And Thomas Rutherford, the guy that, your former broadcast partner, a great friend of both of ours, who kind of pretty much in a must-win here. He has to get to victory lane. And 12th place, not a bad spot to start in order to do that, Sean.
Not at all. So we are getting everybody lined up. We are going to do one pace lap here at the Watkins Glen International Racetrack here. So the Road Rumble 125 at the Glen, of course, put on by Speed Racing Network. That's us. And in Mid-South Madness, week number 11. And we are about to have a lot of fun with this. Brandon, time to make your picks, buddy.
I'm going to let you go first because I'm still thinking.
You know what? I'll tell you, I'm going to pick Marshall Stanley. I think this is a race where, he had the opportunity to win at the Roval, and it got damaged by lap traffic. I think tonight is redemption for him. I think he is going to end up in victory lane.
Now I'm on the bubble, making our way up the hill, and I've got to decide who I want it to be, Sean. And the guy that just keeps poking me out of the corner of the eye when I see his car, every time I see the car, he finally raised the black cloud that seemed to be above his head last week, and I've got to go with him tonight, Sean. I've got to go with Daniel Bowdler. When I I think of road course races, I think of a guy that the winner has to be the one that doesn't make mistakes. And it seems like, you see him at 1.5 miles, so he'll make a mistake here, he'll make a mistake there. But I don't know that I've ever really made it or seen him make one on a road course. So Daniel Bowler, my pick tonight to get his second win and continue to climb the board.
Well, Brandon, we couldn't do this without our sponsors, so let's go through those. CMC Fabrication. So if you need anything fabricated, CMC Fabrication are your guys. And then Dent Wizard Smart Repairs, the leaders in paintless dent repair. Brookstone Animal Hospital, our sponsor for the Man's Best Friend Award. And if you want to take care of Man's Best Friend, then go see Brookstone Animal Hospital. Griffith CPA firm, they've been making taxes less taxing since 1986. Paints by Night, if you need anything painted, then Paints by Night is your guy. Silverback Tax Solutions, if the IRS is on your tail, get the monkey off your back, call Silverback Tax Solutions. And then Steak Dance Seasoning, they are the leaders in steak seasoning. Make your taste buds dance with Steak Dance Seasoning.
Sean, I do want to take a second and thank each and every one of our wonderful sponsors, because it's about to get crazy here, and we couldn't do it without them. Jacob Smith is hard on the throttle at Watkins, Glen International Speedway, Sean, and we're green flag racing.
Well, an interesting thing about this course, Brandon, unless there is a massive, huge pileup, there are no cautions here, only corner cautions. And so if something happens back there in the back of the pack, then people just drive away from you.
Yeah, and I just, for some reason, Sean, I'm sticking with my pick, Daniel Bowler. I think he gets it done. I know in the past I've kind of switched it up for some reason. I feel like fuel mileage is going to get us a winner that we never even expected. Probably not the fastest guy. Honestly, probably not nowhere near the fastest guy, but I think we see someone poke their head out here, take a chance, and it pay off, and they find either a really good finish or maybe a victory before it's all said and done.
Well, out there in the chat right now, Alex Jakovich is saying, shout out Jacob Smith. Jacob Smith is about to win this. Y'all just watch. And that's what we're doing right now. We're watching Jacob Smith. He has opened up a 0.6 of a second lead right now.
Yeah, and I'm not sure I know who the guy that owns Striker Motorsports is, but he's got to feel pretty good every time he sees his car out in the lead.
Well, one thing that's struggling right now is the Striker Motorsports teammate. It looks like Jake Rowell already has damage. He has gone off the track and back on the track a couple of times. That is not going to help him. He is one of the favorites today.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I want to kind of put out there. In my opinion, it's so easy to be fast here when you're on the track going by yourself, but when you throw 30 other cars out there with you, it's so hard not to get into an accident. And I see somebody that is one of my, I've got to say, he's out in the chat right now. He's become one of my favorites to win another series we broadcast, and not too shabby of a road course racer himself, in my opinion. I think he's got what it takes to get it done. Welcome, Oscar Jensen. Thank you for tuning in and hanging out with us tonight, buddy.
Man, Oscar Jensen, if he actually got into this race right now, already he'd be 3 laps down, but I would still probably put money on him.
Oh, yeah. You never count out Oscar Jensen. And I run the truck series, the IVCS truck series with him on Thursdays, and I don't go to every race. And I'm going to be honest, this is a pride hit for me right now, Sean. But the reason I don't go to those races is because him and Timothy Latham are a part of those races. It doesn't matter. It's either Oscar Jensen or Timothy Latham. I don't think there's a third option. So, they find victory lane very well, and excellent driver in his own right. I fully expect, didn't realize, I thought he was a little older than he was. We found out on Friday night that he wasn't that old. I think he's got what it takes to still make that Pro Series. So, Oscar, go show him what you're made of, buddy.
Absolutely. Jacob Smith, another guy out there who just has...
You got the 75 around.
That is Emerson Argon in the 75 car. And again, people just keep on driving right around you. And that's kind of part of the beauty of these road races, is that people can do that, but that is going to cause a lot of issues. But back up. Go ahead.
Oscar said, no. I'm horrible in Xfinity cars. This is not a car you want to see me in. Buddy, I don't know if you and horrible belong in the same sentence, because until I can outdrive you, I don't want to hear that stuff.
So out front, Jacob Smith showing us how it's done. He is 2.8 seconds ahead of everybody. And so while he is just running away with the pack, let's take a look at second place. There's Daniel Bowdler. Like I said, almost 3 seconds behind now, but he does have a 1.5 second lead on third place, Dean Brummett.
Yeah, and honestly, what worries me, Sean, is the driver in the lead right now, Jacob Smith. You know, he's come into this league and he's kind of made a name for himself. He's been a fast runner, but so far out in front after 4 laps that you think once we get 30, 40 laps into this thing and near the end, he almost becomes complacent. It almost becomes hard to remember, hey, I can make a mistake, but you don't ever want to make a mistake, John. So you kind of let your guards down, you just start driving, and one mistake is all it takes. At this pace, he's going to catch a lot of these drivers and wind up lapping several of them. And when he gets to a pack of 2, 3, 4 cars at a time, what he's able to do with that race car may open up the door for Daniel Bowdler now, who looks like he's just taking it slow and letting the race come to him.
Definitely, and like we said, 50 laps, that is a long time out here on this racetrack, but you got Jake Rowell, looks like he's back in 19th position right now, trying to get 18th spot there, and man, he's got a long way to go, but this is one of those courses where if you just stay clean, all you got to do is stay clean here, and you'll probably get a top 10.
Yeah, and that's really, you know, if you're trying to be the fastest, if you're trying to do what Jacob Smith's doing, you know, that's good for running at the front. But if you're just looking to come out of here, you know, with the top 10, you just have to be the guy that doesn't make mistakes. And, you know, you can run lap times at relatively fast, you know, 5, 6, 7 tenths off the pace of the leader, and still wind up in the top 10 solely by not running off the track, just as you said, Sean.
And in the top right corner, you can see the racetrack up there. You can see the number 15 catching up to the number 5. That's Mike Lewis. And so this is going to be one of the struggles for the entire race for Jacob Smith and any of these leaders is they're going to catch up to lap traffic. And what do you do to get around lap traffic? In fact, Mike Lewis just crashed right in front of him. And so yeah, and Smith has to get onto the grass to get around him. So really a tough spot for Mike Lewis there, but Jacob Smith made it around cleanly. But that is something that we're going to have to watch for the rest of the race.
Yeah, we actually have another car, the 15 there, running off track as well. So some guys finding incidents here that, you know, are realizing how hard of a track to drive. But back to what you said about, actually, I think that was a misstamped car because the 15 is our leader. And not sure. I saw the 15 on another car. Obviously, our leader is the 15 of Jacob Smith. He's fine. So did see another car crash in the S-curves there just a moment ago. But, you know, just as you said, when you talk about our leader trying to pass cars, Devin Zimmerman, Duncan Staraska making contact as well. So Zimmerman's in a weird spot. Ooh, man, he's in a tough spot right now because cars are coming by on both sides. He's just trying to get out of the way. Now, but back to Jacob Smith, he saw when he passed Mike Lewis, he kind of put himself, there's another car around there. Jake Rowell also spun around in the S's coming up the hill, collected another car. There's chaos everywhere, Sean.
And that's really what we get here, especially with 40 cars on the track. Really tough to get around this track to begin with, but with 40 cars out there, dang near impossible.
Yeah, and that was Joseph DuPont that was involved in the incident with Jake Rowell there. But as I was saying, when the 15 car starts catching these guys and you saw him coming through the carousel, had to get wide, had he just barely knocked those tires off the racing surface, Sean, that could have been the end of his race because, I mean, it would have put him so far behind had he clipped the grass and got that car sideways, made contact with the wall. That's all it really would have taken to throw this race out the window. So it'll be up to him and the guys out front right now. You know, Daniel Bowdler trailing him, Dean Brummett's up there, a couple of guys that are running solid, but they've got to remember one mistake hurts you more than 5 clean laps.
That is absolutely correct. And I know we were speaking with Dean Brummett a little bit earlier today, and he was trying to figure out how to get through the bus stop and then come around to the carousel, which is what Jacob Smith is doing right now. What is the best line to do that? And what was told to him by Jacob Smith was, you know, you got to remember the bus stop, you might lose 0.2 of a second there, but you'll lose 1 full second on the carousel if you miss it. So, you know, you got to pick your spots.
Yeah, and I did see Duncan Staraska run or spin around a moment ago. He's on pit road now. Another car, Adam Pettit it is, that's out in the kitty litter, so to speak, in turn 1. Oh, no, this isn't in turn 1. There's another car off the track in turn 1. This looks like just shy or just after the bus stop there. So A lot of cars finding damage here. Jacob Smith is making it look easy out front. He hasn't really made a mistake, and you see there the flag stand cam just how far ahead of Daniel Bowdler he is. I want to update you again. Earlier when I called the 15 had spun around, it was actually Brad Herman in the 85 that had spun around earlier in the race. So it looked like a 15 from the angle that I saw it, but man, there's just so much chaos going on, and I look around, you know, Sean, at some of these cars, and so many of them already missing their hoods, missing their front ends, damage that has slowed them down, and it's really kind of what's changed things.
Well, one of the things that we failed to mention a little bit earlier, so take a look at the top of your screen at that ticker up there. Those that are in the green have already won a race, so they are in the playoffs, 100% definitely in the playoffs. The ones that are in the yellow are the ones that are currently pointed in the playoffs, and everybody else, they need to basically win to get in. So there's Brendan Arciero. He's off the track there right in front of the leaders as well.
Yeah, and I'm kind of set on focus on crashes here, so I don't get a ride along with too many cars too quick because there's guys all over the place. So as I call them out, I'm not trying to throw Sean off on, you know, what he's doing and what he's talking about. Just want to update you guys throughout the field of who's crashing, who's good, you know, who's getting in a little bit of incidents. And still yet, with so much going on, we may miss a few. So if you're here in the chat with us and, you know, your driver gets involved in an incident, just know we are honestly and actively flipping through and seeing what we can find.
Well, the biggest gainer right now is number 36, Kyle Spees. And so he is up 15 positions from the start. So he is racing his way towards the front.
Yeah, and that's honestly a scary spot. You know, if you know the car is coming through the field like that, I want to focus back on what Oscar Jensen said. He said, as Dale Jr. said, we got cars out of control here. And that's exactly what the Mid-South Madness Road Rumble 125 at the Glen has been so far. It's been nothing but pure chaos, carnage.
Well, you know, earlier today we talked about pure speed when it came to Team SRN, and so we have them here in 6th, 7th, and 8th positions. And so Team SRN making their presence known.
Yeah, and that's going to play big when we talk back about the points championship. I felt like, you know, some of these guys had the opportunity, but you see it there on your screen. Those guys kind of still in the thunder of tank racing because they're all in a group like a bunch of fighter pilots. As you saw there at the back of your screen, Thomas Rutherford making a move on his teammate Danny Dow for position. And make no mistake, if there's anybody out here that's got a strategy for the end of this thing, Sean, to try to put themselves in position, Danny Dow actually just hurt himself as he spins down into the inside barrier right before pit road. But as I was saying, they were going to put themselves in position to be a strategy favorite here. Oh, Matt Johnson now following the same thing that Danny Dow did in the same spot before pit road. If you caught the tail end of that spin there, that's exactly what happened with Daniel Dow a moment ago. Matt Johnson going to bring that 62 machine down pit road.
Almost doesn't have a choice at this point, but man, just carnage out there on the track already. But the other team that is up towards the top is Daniel Bowdler, Chad Wampler, and Stan Hausman, and even Troy Dow. So all four of the Stake Dance Racing's team members in the top 12 right now.
I hate to say it, Sean. Can we focus real quick on the driver who's made his way to second place? Your pick for the night, none other than Marshall Stanley. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he's running just a hair faster than our leader.
Right now, he's running them down. He is ticking off just ever so slightly every single corner. And so Jacob Smith might want to watch out. And again, Marshall Stanley was saying in his TR's Corner segment that pit strategy is going to come into this, and it will.
Yeah, and if there's anyone that knows these cars well enough, maybe not these cars, but knows how to get around here the fastest on fresh, old, and trash tires, it's going to be Marshall Stanley. I know, you know, I'm not taking anything away from Jacob Smith as our leader, but I know I've ran so many road races. I ran the I-18s, I've ran the Xfinity cars, the Cup cars, a set of road cars with Marshall Stanley, and it always seems like he knows how to be fast and how to make the tires last so that when he has to come get them, he's still, you know, the fastest on the track.
Well, and we've heard from a couple drivers today that they're going to be doing a 2 pit stop strategy because of the tires falling off so quickly. And so a lot of them are talking about coming in at around lap 15 to 16 and then again around lap 30 to 32. And so we're going to see some green flag pit stops here within the next 4 or 5 laps, I think.
Yeah, and honestly, you know, we saw a few now, obviously linked to damage, but I'll tell you what, Thomas Rutherford, the Iceman, this is the type of track that I've kind of give him that name on, and I think someone else called him the Iceman. He does not make mistakes when it comes to road course races. Nothing against Thomas. He's never the fastest driver out there. He's driving the car between the lines on the racing surface, and it really allows him to get great finishes, Sean.
And you can see a couple cars back. Adam Pettit obviously came in to get his fast repair because he has his hood back on there. So he's got to be careful from here on out.
Yeah, and I'm not sure. Is that the 17 car right behind Thomas there? Is that for position? No, Setzer has already made a pit stop. I was going to say, Danny Setzer proving that he's not to be left out in the forgotten, which even though he is a lap down, Sean, and on a little bit newer tires, he's really sticking with the 44 machine, his teammate Thomas Rutherford here. So, man, just so many opportunities here that we really can't say right now what is going to happen at the end of this thing, because we're just 22, 23% of the way through this thing, and anything could happen before it's all said and done.
Going back up front, so Marshall Stanley has cut into the lead a little bit. So it was 7 seconds, now it's 6.5 seconds, and so we'll see if he can keep making up time little by little. But every now and then, Jacob Smith just gets a little spurt and just gets out a little bit further.
Yeah, and I want to update on a few drivers. Dean Brummett has found the end of his tires. He's slipping and sliding all over the place. Unfortunately, Matthew Johnson has whipped his car around once again. He's back going now, though. So every time, we'll switch off and we'll switch back. It seems like those are the two drivers I'm going between, being Dean Brummett and Matt Johnson, who are all over the racetrack slipping and sliding. So kind of getting a little crazy here.
Well, there is Dean Brummett right there, and he's followed by Joseph DuPont, but DuPont, I believe, is a lap down. So one of the favorites here tonight, already a lap down.
Yeah, and he got involved in an incident earlier. I didn't recognize the other voice, but I know it collected Jake Roel, one of the favorites from this race. And there was someone spun in the bus stop there. Wasn't sure who that was, but I think it was Mike Lewis yet again spun in the bus stop. But again, Joseph DuPont got a really big hole to climb out of if he wants to be successful here tonight at Watkins Glen.
Troy Dow trying to track down Chris Massey here. This is for 13th position. And a little bit further back on the track, Corey Knight. So he is trying to track down, it looks like, you know what, he was trying to track down somebody and then that person wrecked. So there you go. So he's right back in there. But one of the other big movers, let's go back up front a little bit. Jonathan Byer up here in 11th place. So
Thomas Rutherford around in turn one.
Oh, no.
And just as I say, he gave him a little bit of the broadcaster's curse, saying that guy, which, I guess technically, Sean, I wasn't incorrect. Thomas still kept it on the racing surface, even with the spin, but typically not what you see. Sorry to cut you off on the Jonathan Byer comment, but one of the guys that was really picking up some spots and making his way to the front involved in a little bit of issue earlier.
Oh, no worries. You can cut me off anytime you want to, man. We want to see all these wrecks if we can.
Yeah, and obviously, it's a little bit harder here at Watkins Glen to kind of get in the Dent Wizard wreck replay because we are just green and going and going. So many cars on the racetrack going at the same time and incidents everywhere. So still yet, Dent Wizard for, Danny Dow around. But Dent Wizard still bringing you the wrecks, just not able to get to the cutscene. So we do think this for their wreck replay as we try to catch the incidents happening. Someone else spinning here.
Dean Brummett going into the pits.
I think Jonathan Byer just wiped it out there as well. I'm not sure if that was him who was setting backwards or.
Yep. A lot of damage there. So now green flag stops have started. So Dean Brummett went ahead and came in. And so he will cycle back out, probably back in the top 5 once everybody goes through, of course. But Jacob Smith, it's just a matter of time for him. He has extended his lead to just over 7 seconds now.
Yeah, and what fears me for Jacob Smith is he's using, the 83 Chris Massey, almost, Dean Brummett collected in the incident there. So Dean Brummett, after making his pit stop, Chris Massey spins at the end of pit road, causing Dean Brummett to hit the wall, Sean, right after a pit stop, trying to rejoin the track, and has to dodge the 83 car of Chris Massey and just clip that inside wall. You see the damage on the right side, the right rear. Really unfortunate for Dean Brummett, just at the wrong place at the wrong time.
You know what? We're going to go back and we're going to take a look and see if we can find out what happened there with our first Dent Wizard Rec replay. So here comes Dean Brummett right off of pit road. As soon as you're off it, there's Chris Massey just right there. I'm not really sure what he was doing there. Let's check one more time. Let's look at it from Chris Massey's point of view.
I think he wheel hopped getting into turn one, and when he gassed it, the wheels were just spinning and spun him around.
Just spun around right there at the exit. There is nothing that he could have done about that, and just wrong place, wrong time for Dean Brummett.
Yeah, and I hear drivers all over the place here, you know, hey, I'm going to the grass, I'm letting you by, I'm getting out of the way. So that leads me to believe that that man right there is still picking them up and putting them down as we continue on. 16 laps done, right? Oh, he's actually going to join pit road right now. So we said it wouldn't be long, Sean, and there he comes. Jacob Smith finding his way to pit road. Marshall Stanley, though, will not. Going to pursue the race lead here and kind of get his name known, but I don't think he'll stay out there too long, Sean.
I don't think he can stay out there too long, especially as fast as Jacob's been. If Jacob comes back out on fresh tires, he's just going to start picking people off one at a time. Marshall's got to pit here really shortly so that he can get those new tires.
Kyle speeds around in turn one. Duncan Staroska turned around on the front straightaway, so a couple more guys having some incidents. Kyle Speeds was really making up some spots, but obviously a little bit of trouble as he spins it around in turn number one. Again, Duncan Staroska got a little bit sideways off the final corner, looped it on the front straightaway. I don't think anyone was collected in either incident, but, you know, just right here, you see on screen, this is the battle that I was about to talk about. It's not a battle for position, but you're kind of seeing, Sean, old tires versus new tires amongst Matt Johnson and Marshall Stanley right now.
And what's so terrifying out there right now, so Matthew Johnson in that 62, he is the first car a lap down. He is in 18th position. And so we got a lot of positions that have already gone a lap down due to incidents, and that's road racing sometimes, man.
Yeah, and I want to note there yet again, Marshall Stanley did not come down pit road, so kind of equalizing. And I see back there at the top of the screen as well, Daniel Bowler has not made his pit stop either, Sean. So these guys playing a very different strategy than that of Jacob Smith. So we'll see a couple of guys dicing it up on the racetrack, go right side, go left side, go right side, and we try to make passes. But Marshall Stanley continues to try to lead the thing as long as he can. Just how far back is this 15 car, Sean?
So this 15 car is 21.5 seconds behind the leader, but he is in third position. So even after pitting, and nobody else yet has pitted there, he is still in third place. That's how big of a lead he already had.
What worries me for Jacob Smith, he's obviously gone with the two-stop strategy here. The way he goes, 34 laps on a set of tires. What worries me here, Sean, is if by chance Marshall Stanley splits it up, and we'll note here, I don't know if Marshall will stay out quite to 25, but if he does, you think about it, when Jacob Smith comes back in, if we see Marshall Stanley on a one-stop strategy where he's out there 21 seconds ahead, if he is 21 seconds ahead and Jacob Smith can't use those tires to get back with him, it doesn't really matter how many laps Jacob Smith leads here, because strategy's just going to upright beat him. Because you see now Stanley at a 1:16.4 that time by. We'll see just what Jacob Smith is running. Still hasn't crossed the start and finish line. It looks like a 1:12.39.
4 seconds a lap.
4 seconds a lap. Still yet, Sean, that's going to take roughly 5.5 laps before he gets to Marshall. And just as we said, right about then, Marshall will be looking to come to pit road.
It's going to definitely make it interesting. And just like Marshall was saying, it will be all about pit strategy. And that is what we are seeing right now. But Marshall Stanley has a 7-second lead on Daniel Bowdler, who then has now only a 10-second lead. Jacob Smith has cut that lead from 21.5 to 16 seconds even, and it's only been a lap and a half.
Yeah, but on the other side, the one thing that we didn't talk about with strategy, Sean, is Jacob Smith is running very fast lap times in the 112s. However, he's also on his tires already here. So the one thing to be noted is, you know, next time when Marshall comes 5, 6, 7 laps later than Jacob Smith, he's going to be able to run him down for those 5, 6, 7 laps before his tires get old. Obviously, he'll finish the race on those tires, but he could negate the time, and maybe the next time that Jacob Smith makes his pit stop, Sean, it could be a 30, 40-second lead. So interesting to see how it plays out here. We're nearing halfway. I know these laps seem to take forever. Minute 15, some guys, minute and a half, and the troubles that they've had. We'll see how it all plays out for Marshall Stanley when he comes to pit road and really what he does here to try to capitalize and get to victory lane.
No, got Mike Lewis spinning on the track once again. And just these road courses are not easy courses. So anybody that's looking at this thinking, I could do that, don't be so sure. It is a tough course.
Yeah, and I will say, I know there's a lot of guys likely out there in chat that say, hey, I've played NASCAR Heat. I'm telling you, I was an excellent road course racer at NASCAR Heat, you know, back to NASCAR 09. I'm terrible in iRacing, so it does not translate if you were wondering, or if you thought, you know, maybe I'll be okay. Kyle speeds around again in the bus stop. But it does not translate whatsoever to iRacing. I am terrible at road course racing, so just kind of a back and forth odds there.
Daniel Bowdler going into the pits.
Really an odd strategy there for Daniel Bowdler in my mind. I fully expected those guys still out there to split the race into 2 parts. Nothing got off again into the kitty litter nearing the end of the racetrack. But I really thought the guys that were left out there, Sean, would split it in half. But maybe Bowdler has calculated the fuel and he's not so much worried about tires. He wants to make it just to the end at the end of this thing.
Well, knowing that this is not going to be a green-white checker situation, these drivers can figure out exactly how much fuel they need to make it to lap 50, and that's really all they need to do. And so that might be Bowdler's strategy right now, is you can maybe make it 30 laps on fuel, and so he's coming in just to get just enough. Now that's going to put Jacob Smith in an awkward position. He is still 10 seconds behind Marshall Stanley right now. But if he does come in for a second pit stop, which we think he'll have to, then he's definitely going to have to make some time. Here comes Marshall Stanley down the pit road.
Yeah, just an update on Thomas Rutherford. Likely we'll see him pitting again. You saw him there as Jacob Smith. Yeah, he's going to join pit road again. He ran off the bus stop, missing the hood and the front end of that number 44 machine. I know we had a fan, Oscar Jensen, out there pulling for Thomas. Unfortunately, Thomas has a little bit more damage to the front end of the race car. I thought we were going to see a nasty wad up. I think it's turn 10, turn 11 there, but they gathered it up. And nothing to worry about so far.
Right here, this is a good little race. Brad Herman and Stan Houseman. Stan Houseman just on the outside of the cut line. So he is up there in 9th place as we speak, which will be a really good finish for him, considering a couple people above him are not in the race tonight.
Yeah, and I think right now he's got to just let guys go as they get to him, maximize points, and not get in anyone's way. Derek De Silva ran off track briefly, but he is okay. But he's just got to get as many points as he can, because if I'm not mistaken, Sean, this is the last road course we'll see this season.
It certainly is, and so this is their last chance to get something good going on here. So Taylor Smith and it looks like Mike Lewis involved in the wreck there. And so Taylor Smith currently in the points, not having a great race right now. He is falling back probably to about 25th place before he gets back up to speed.
Yeah, and obviously going to have to visit pit road here before too long. Looking like a Gen 6 modified out there on the racetrack, missing the front end and the hood. That's kind of, you know, just speaking of Daniel Bowdler, who's ran in the top 3, that's kind of, you know, that's more of Daniel Bowdler's type car, you know, what he runs in real life, looking a lot like the car that Taylor's decided to run here now.
Well, back up front, Jacob Smith has opened up a 22-second lead on Marshall Stanley. Now, again, both of them have pitted once. Oh, Kyle Spees into the wall again.
Yeah, things have went a little bit sour for Kyle Spees and what he was expecting, I think, to be a great night, as we saw him confident passing cars left and right, but just obviously wasn't able to keep it on the racetrack there. Found a few incidents. Man, that got a little bit hairy for our leader there with the Bronco Motorsports machine just behind him. I think that's Greg Olnick, who gave our leader Jacob Smith a scare for a moment.
Now, up here in third place, we have Chad Wampler. He is not pitted yet, and so he is definitely going to try to cut this thing in half. He is up in third. He is 9 seconds behind Marshall Stanley, but his teammate Daniel Bowdler right behind him, going to try to get that third place position here, of course, cleanly. I mean, they are teammates. We don't want to go too crazy here.
Yeah, and I think it's not even going to be a defense type of deal for Daniel Bowdler. I think he's about to pass Chad so fast Chad's not even going to realize what happened, because obviously Bowdler on new tires. I heard someone destroy the wall, but I don't know where. I heard the sounds but didn't see the car. So obviously someone else having a rough night here at the Glen. But here comes Bowdler, likely down the straightaway. No contest. He's clear and by for third place. Justin Krukman around though.
So another driver that not having the night that he's wanting. He is already 5 laps down, and that's not going to help there. So H2K Motorsports having their struggles, especially, Joseph DuPont getting a little loose up there.
Yeah, just as you mentioned, H2K, that's kind of been their night so far. But honestly, Sean, you said not having the night that they would like. I think there's about 3 cars that are having the night they would like here tonight. The rest of them's on the other side there. I know Krukman, not sure who he got into there, but I heard it on driver chat. Someone upset with the Justin Krukman night team machine there, kind of got in the way, maybe a little bit damaged for the car. Didn't see it happen, so I don't want to speculate on who that was, Sean, but just 11, now almost 10 cars on the lead lap still here tonight.
And that just shows the domination that we've had from these front 4 or 5 drivers. Now, one driver that you talked about a little bit earlier, David Duke, he is up in 6th place now. He has already pitted once back on lap 15, but he is putting on a show up front. He's actually really contending in this thing.
Yeah, and he's actually closing in on there. You see it, the car right in front of him, Dean Brummett in the 25 machine. So he's starting to tick off the time.
Round.
Oh, no, Bowdler. He says, you know what? It's time to go get a fast repair and try to do it again. So, if possible, Sean, I was going to say, let's cut to a rec replay by Tim Widget. I really would like to know what happened to the 6 machine here.
And he already had a little bit of damage, but it looks like he just comes around and just gets a little bit too hot going around and ends up in the pits. It looks like he'll take it to the pits to hopefully get a fast repair.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Daniel Bowdler, you know, I think that was just product of, if there's anyone in this field, you know, I've raced with just about everyone here. If there's anyone that just sense like when they're in 2nd place, instead of saying, you know, what can I do? They just shut up, completely silent, running the fastest lap times that he's ever ran. It's Daniel Bowdler, and I think, Sean, that's really what kind of got him there, just a little less grip than what he was expecting and trying to do with the 6 machine.
So Jacob Smith still 18 seconds ahead. Now Marshall Stanley's cut off about 4 of those seconds because he's on a little bit newer tires. But remember that Jacob Smith will definitely have to pit again, probably here in about the next 7 laps or so. So that's going to make it really interesting to see if he can track back down Marshall Stanley after he pits a second time.
Yeah, and honestly, you know, I don't know. Try to think and register in my mind if he's going to pit. Oh, we saw someone else wide there. Not sure.
I believe that is the 212 of Wade Rayburn.
Oh, okay, it's not a Rev Racing car. I know not a lot of guys run Fords here. Yep, it is the 212 of Wayne Rayburn, but I was trying to think really when Jacob Smith should come to pit road, because if he waits too long, Sean, it's going to give him less time to run back down the 00 when they cycle back to the 00 to the lead.
Here's a name that we mentioned really early with a wreck. and now he is back on the track and making up a lot of ground. Jake Roel up to 6th position out there on the track. So right now we have 3 Striker Motorsports drivers up in the top 6.
Yeah, and the one thing that I want to point out there, riding along, the car directly in front of him, 17, Danny Setzer is a lap down, but Sean, the 2 cars just ahead of them, that's Dean Brummett and David Duke, both for position for that 9 car. So here he's coming inside of the 17, and right there they are. He's already in the hunt for 2 more positions. I don't know that Jake Roel has time to get to the lead, or even, the opportunity. Oh! Joseph Dupont around off of turn 1. You're about to see it here as the cars come up on him. He wheel hopped again and got loose, spun that car around, heavy contact with that inside wall, or driver's right wall. But I just don't think Jake's got the time to get to the front. Obviously, he's almost an entire lap behind, 52 seconds now behind Jacob Smith. So barring anything crazy from Jacob Smith, I think we're just looking at a 1, 2, 3 maybe for the Striker Motorsports drivers.
And he is definitely catching David Duke right now as we speak. But the question is not can you catch somebody, but can you pass them cleanly?
Yeah, and that's where it's about to get really tough, because it's going to be boom, boom, boom here for these guys. I think maybe Jake gets by the 78, Jake gets by the 25, David Duke gets by the 25, and it's just going to be a revolving door here of passes because they're so equal. Oh, and you see Dean Brummett there just a little ahead of them, getting sideways. So Dean, obviously the loosest of the cars racing around him. David Duke going to make the pass. Dean snaps a little loose. Duke's obviously got the preferred line down into the corner. Dean says, you know what? I don't want to be on the outside here, and allows both Jake Roel and David Duke to go by in turn 1.
Really great race back here. This is for 4th, 5th, and 6th positions. And so the other cars that are in front, they're about 16 seconds apart from one another. So we're going to stick with this one just for a little while, just so we can see some good, hard position racing here. But it looks like
battle for 3rd, or battle for 4th, sorry, is done and over.
Yeah.
I think the battle now becomes 5th and 6th there, with David Duke and Dean Brummett, who are still close together. Jake trying to make up as much time as he can. I just want to look real quick and see, through all of that, Jake Roel did not lose any time to the leader. So Marshall Stanley, an update on him. There, Corey Knight looks like he's going to get around and sideways right in front of Jake Roel. But update on Marshall Stanley, has cut the lead from about 22 seconds, Sean, down to about 17 and a half.
And now Chad Wampler going into the pits right now, so he is going to lose 3rd position, but he is going to come out with the freshest tires on the track.
And the one thing that I want to point out here and now, Chad Wampler, if I'm not mistaken, that was his first pit stop. So trying to split this thing a little less than in half, Sean. He's ran almost 2/3 of the distance here, and just now getting fresh tires. So he was able to hold on to 3rd. Now we'll see where he really cycles to with already having fresh tires. It depends now when Marshall Stanley and Jacob Smith find their way to pit road.
If Marshall Stanley makes it to pit road, but Jacob Smith, more than likely, I mean, unless he pulls something out here, he is going to have to pit one more time. So we will see. I assume that would be here in the next lap or 2 that he's going to come in.
Yeah, I was just reading the chat there from Oscar Jensen. He said, the best thing for a driver is when the wreck can be heard but not seen. I definitely would not want to be shown after eating a wall, or after I eat a wall. But yes, Oscar, you are exactly right. If I'm gonna bend it in any of these turns, I don't want it to be on screen. So obviously, whoever that was snuck one by us and didn't get brought up. Daniel Keith, buddy, what's going on? Remember the LSR days racing with you, always a fast driver. He said Duke, Team SRN up to 6th. So SRN trying their best to get up through there. Michael was slowed up a couple of drivers, but was able to make it down pit road. I do want to take a moment, Sean, to say we have 23 guys watching right now, only 3 likes. So if you don't mind, here as we came across halfway, make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel so you know when we go live with all the action here at Team Speed Racing Network for the broadcast, as well as thumbs up the stream if you like what you saw. You know, we try our hardest each and every week to do what we can here with the broadcast through several different series. Myself and Sean Griffith on the call majority of the nights, or actually all of the nights currently. But I do see, Sean, Thomas Rutherford has decided to park his number 44 machine for the night.
Yeah, just a rough race for him, and just ran out of fast repairs, just got into a little bit of trouble all over the place. So tough to see him go out, but he's going to have one more chance to possibly make the playoffs next week at Chicagoland.
I will tell you, those SRN boys will be ones to be reckoned with at Chicagoland. Of course, I could give you a handful of drivers that'll be fast there. So I think the driver that's the fastest I've seen at Chicagoland is probably Oscar Jensen, honestly, out there in the chat. So luckily for these guys that are trying to make the playoffs, Oscar Jensen will not be in attendance next week.
So Dean Brummett going in for his second pit stop right now, along with Brad Herman. So that's 5th and 6th place, both going into the pits. So I would assume that his teammate Jacob Smith will be coming in shortly, as well as Jake Rowell. So we're going to have a little bit of a shakeup here in the coming laps.
I wonder back, I'm not sure. Let's see where he cycled to if possible, Sean. The 812 of Chad Wampler. Where has he cycled to on the racetrack? Because I think right now that should give him a chance at a podium the way he's decided to split this thing.
Well, he is up in 5th place right now. He is currently almost, actually a minute behind Jacob Smith, but again, with the freshest tires on the track, so he is making up time. He's 10 seconds behind David Duke for 4th place, so does definitely have a chance, especially if these guys do come in and pit. David Duke's going to have to pit at some point. He last pitted on lap 15, so we will see at least one more pit probably from him, Jacob Smith, and Jake Rowell. I think Marshall Stanley is going to try to make it on one pit stop, though.
Yeah, and I will tell you, I know I'm not by any means a road course racer. We were here at Watkins Glen one night. I think we ran a session with the I-18s as well as the Skippies. Myself and Taylor Smith, also in this race, were running the Indy cars, the IR18s, and I ran a sub 1 minute lap time, which was blistering fast. I thought I'd done something special, and Chad Wampler leaves the session, rejoins in an Indy car, and he sat there, Sean, for probably 45 minutes trying to beat that lap time and eventually beat it. And, he kind of was waiting for me to respond, and I was like, you know what, Chad? I was like, man, I don't know how I put down that lap time. You can have this one. GG, good game, so to speak. And Chad Wampler knows how to get around these road courses.
Well, not only that, but just that drive and determination that you just talked about. I mean, a lot of these guys out here on the track, they will go into a practice session, lay down the hot lap, and then leave. And then somebody will come in and beat that hot lap, and then that first guy will come back and say, no, we're going to do this one more time, and go back in there. So it is a matter of pride for these guys more than anything else.
Yeah, I really would like to see Chad Wampler find victory lane yet again here at Watkins Glen, but I think right now, I don't know. I think Marshall Stanley, I know that's the guy that you picked, and as much as I hate to say it, Sean, I think he might have the strategy to do this thing.
I mean, if he stays out there on the track, then he is definitely going to have the inside line to do it, because each pit stop takes at least 14 to 15 seconds once you're in the pit stall, but you're going to lose a good 45 seconds of time going into the pits and out of the pits. And right now, Marshall's only 17 seconds down, so that's going to give him a sweet lead, especially coming up on 15 laps to go here shortly.
Yeah, and if you think about it, just with the quick math that you said there, you're looking at about a 45-second pit stop start to finish. 15-second lead, we'll say, to make it easy. That's 30 seconds behind. That means what he's going to have to do is he's going to have to be through traffic, Sean, over 2 seconds a lap faster than Marshall Stanley, who at that point, likely right now, we haven't seen him really push the issue. He's probably saved enough of those tires that when that time comes, when Jacob Smith makes his final pit stop, he's going to give it everything those tires have left, and that could be the difference between Jacob Smith being able to run him down or not run him down. Obviously, when you're the tail car, when you're chasing, it's the easiest to make a mistake versus when you're out front just trying to manage a gap. So not really sure. Jacob Smith might have got out strategized here, but we will see here momentarily.
And here it comes. So Jacob Smith going into the pits for the final time here, and so we will see how much time Marshall Stanley gets on him. And when he came in, he was 16 and a half seconds behind. Let's see if Marshall Stanley can extend that lead out. We're thinking that it's going to be about 30 seconds when all is said and done. We will find out shortly. There he goes, picking up the lead right there. So Marshall Stanley now to the lead.
Yeah, and I think right now we're about to see the quickest laps out of that 00 that we've seen. Realistically, 16 laps to go. Still yet right around what we were saying, Sean, about 2 seconds faster a lap, and that's just to get to Marshall Stanley. So anything can happen. You know, we saw Dean Brummett running, I think, in 3rd place when the car spun out in front of him on pits. Obviously, he was cycling out. So prior to the pit stop, he was in 3rd place. And then a car spun out right in front of him, nowhere to go. So I did just hear Jacob Smith say pitting out, and right now Marshall Stanley making his way into the carousel. So we'll see what time that actually winds up being on the racetrack.
Looks like 16.5 seconds difference. Now Jake Roel just went into the pits as well, so he was in 3rd place, but Chad Wampler is going to pass him out there on the track. So now Chad Wampler up into the podium position.
Yeah, and I knew Chad's strategy was a solid one once I seen it play out. I don't really think Jake's going to have the time or the speed to run Chad back down once it's all said and done. Actually, Jake will likely lose the 4th spot to David Duke and be actually close to being challenged by Mike Lepicki at the time. I don't know if Lepicki will get there, but we saw Marshall Stanley just cross the start-finish line, I do believe, and here comes Jacob Smith. So unless something crazy happens here, I don't know that Marshall got enough of it. About 14 seconds that time by, so well within the 2-second window, Sean.
Definitely. Now, Mike Lepicki, a name that we hadn't really talked about all night tonight in the number 46 Hooters car there. So for Tank Racing, now this guy last season was amazing, not only on this course, but on multiple other courses. He is up there in 4th right now. Now, he pitted back on lap 16, so we think he's probably going to have to pit one more time. But still, great showing for Mike Lepicki.
Yeah, and I'm kind of not going to lie, tuned out a little bit there because a scary moment for our leader just took place where Jake Roel passed him, but as Jake Roel was passing him, Adam Pettit kind of overshot the S-curves and slid in between the both of them. So that has obviously slowed down the 00 of Marshall Stanley in the lead. A car around directly in front of them.
Oh, and there goes Marshall Stanley.
Similar to what we saw at the Roval for Marshall Stanley. So really heartbreaking 2 road courses for him.
Let's go back and take a look at that. And I believe it was Mike Lewis. You can see the leaders coming up behind. Mike Lewis just overguns it, gets into the wall. There's nowhere for these leaders to go. And he tried to get it straightened back out, and by doing that, he ran into Marshall Stanley. And that is really heartbreaking because that is essentially going to hand this race to Jacob Smith unless something happens.
Yeah, and not just hand it to him, serve it to him, Sean, on a silver platter. I mean, that's really tough. I know, obviously, Mike Lewis not meaning to be there and cause the incident, but that's pretty much just been the luck for Marshall Stanley at these road courses. So really tough and unfortunate spot.
And so you can see right now Jacob Smith working the wheel. And while we're looking at this, you can see in the chat Timothy Latham in the chat room as well. So Timothy Latham, he's saying, I have arrived. And I'll tell you, Timothy Latham, a really great road course racer of his own.
Yeah, and I'll get back to that in just a second. One real quick, I do want to say, Jake Roel just looped it coming out of the final turn as well. So his quest to run down some of these guys at the front likely has been stalled, at least for the moment. But Timothy Latham, I knew once I read the comment that said, I have arrived, I knew hold the brake was coming. He's a big stiffler on holding the brake in instances like that. Not really sure what Mike Lewis was thinking. I believe he was trying to get to the berm over on the dirt to get out of the way, but that was going to be interesting to see how it played out. Yes, Oscar Jensen, it absolutely was. For those of you who don't know, in the chat out there, we're joined by 2 of the greatest drivers I think Sean or myself have ever called a race for. I mean, these guys are lightning fast every week, Sean, and they've joined us here for the end of this one.
Yeah, but heartbreak for Marshall Stanley, as this is the second road course this season that he held the lead and then got caught up by lap traffic.
Yeah, and it's really frustrating, I know, from a driver standpoint for him. And the reason I say that is because he didn't get taken out by racing for the lead, Sean. He got taken out by a car that was laps down, several laps down. So I did just hear race control Jason Tripp come across and say, hey, it's hold the brake, stay out of guys' ways. Unfortunately, it came after the incident involving Marshall Stanley, but tough break for him, Sean. There you see on your screen, though, I'm riding along with the leader, that being Jacob Smith, who's just about to lap his teammate, who was really making some headway, Jake Roel, being lapped by Jacob Smith now for the lead. So just a hair behind being lapped for the lead, rather.
So only 7 cars on the lead lap right now. First car a lap down is Daniel Bowdler, who we thought had a chance to win this race, but then got a couple of unfortunate spins there as well. So in reality, what we're looking at right now, Jacob Smith, a 32-second lead on second place Marshall Stanley. Chad Wampler has come into the pits for the second time. So Chad Wampler not going to go with a 1 pit stop strategy. He is in the pits getting some new tires, but he still has a shot here to get back out on the track and maybe coming into a top 5 finish.
Yeah, and that's really, a lot of these guys we talk about at the top. Oh, Taylor Smith, all kinds of sideways in turn 1. But, we're talking about a lot of these guys, Sean, that we've actually been talking about here tonight. Dean Brummett, Jake Roel, Daniel Bowdler, Chad Wampler. These are all guys whose names are in green at the top. They're punched already into the playoffs. So just by them, Daniel Bowdler, so to speak, he's really kind of embraced the fact that his season hasn't been that great. And just by doing that, even a good finish here is great for him, because no matter what happens now, he's in the playoffs. So that's a big thing. Obviously, the top 3 currently not locked into the playoffs. Dean Brummett, the highest running playoff driver right now in 4th. So, but majority of the guys we've talked about, getting into some troubles, don't really have too much to worry about.
And that's something that does need to be mentioned. So Jacob Smith, even though he is leading this race by a ton, he is not going to be able to be in the playoffs because he does not have the 8 race requirement. He came into Striker Racing really late in the season, replacing another driver. So because of that, this win will not allow him in the playoffs. However, there is that money that is involved each individual race.
Yeah, and I mean, that's really what he's got to capitalize on. Not to mention, he's really good IRL friends with Jake Roel, the guy that he's working hard to lap. So we've seen Jake Roel punch his way into victory lane twice already, Sean. And the one thing that you have to do if your Jacob Smith is equalized with him, even though you can't make the playoffs, if you win 2 races, you're equal with Jake. And then at that point, you're racing him for the betterment and bragging rights to see who goes and collects the most victories.
Well, I'll tell you, the other thing that's going on here is we have got 3 of Striker Motorsports in the top 6 as we speak right now, with Jacob Smith finally passing Jake Roel there. But so 3 of the top 6 are in Striker Motorsports. They are going for the team championship. So not only do they like the individual aspect of it, obviously, but they want the team championship.
Yeah, and obviously right now they're in that good spot to gain all kind of ground on that. I think that's the biggest takeaway here for those guys. As you said, obviously Jake having a little bit of issues, Dean caught up in the wreck coming off of pit road. But right now, your teammate out front and really kind of doing the thing, bringing as many points to the table as he can for Striker Motorsports. So that's going to play huge, and see it just next week how much our team championship has changed as we near the playoffs, which means we're nearing the end of the season as well.
Yeah, we are definitely getting towards the end of this thing. I'd like to mention a couple of other people out here. So Stan Hausman back here in 9th position. Again, he is 16 points outside the cut for the playoffs right now. He is up in 9th. And there are 2 guys that were not here tonight that were ahead of him in the playoffs as well. So, and then he was also tied, I believe, with Sean Dice, who is not having the race that he was looking for today. He's back in 17th right now. So Stan Hausman has a really good shot here of getting pointed in. And if he does, then Stake Dance Racing will be the only team with all 4 drivers in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think that's going to play huge, because what do you focus on most when you're trying to points race? If not only, that you have all 4 drivers in, but if, let's say you're Stake Dance Racing and Troy Dowell's already locked into the next round, and maybe Daniel Bowdler needs a spot to kind of one-up himself, right, Sean? You just allow the pass. Hey, buddy, come on by, Or you line yourselves up that maybe those 2 drivers are trying to pass, we'll say, Jake Roel. and you say, hey, I'm going to be inside, you follow me past them, and we both gain a spot here. So that could be huge, having teammates in. And we don't see a whole lot of teams have, 2, 3 guys in the playoffs, so let alone all 4 of them to be in will be huge here.
And so as Jacob Smith makes the pass on Kyle Spees there, let's go back to a couple of guys, just kind of some of our fan favorites out there that are always out there watching. So Devin Zimmerman back here in 21st position. Again, not the race he was wanting. I think he's 2.5 laps down. However, still right up there at the 50-50 mark there. So still a great drive for him, even though not exactly what he was looking for. And his teammate, Derek De Silva, a couple spots above him right now in 19th position. Again, I mean, fantastic drivers from Tank Racing, just not quite the race they were hoping for.
Yeah, and I mean, anything can still happen for those guys because they're always quick, they're always ready to roll, and they always have the opportunity to make it to victory lane. So anything can go for any of the Tank Racing drivers, but obviously hasn't been the season that I myself personally, Sean, have expected out of those guys.
Well, we were talking a little bit earlier about Stryker Motorsports being 3 of the top 5 drivers now, but look right behind them, all four of the Stake Dance drivers are in the top 11 right now. So I know Stryker Motorsports' 4th driver is down in 31st position having a rough race, but Stake Dance Racing came to play today.
Yeah, and you never want to count those guys out either because, I mean, Daniel Bowler gives these guys, they're kind of like, Bowler's almost their hype man. Bowler's having a good race. It just hypes up the other 3 drivers, and they're like, all right, we're going to go out and match exactly what this guy's doing. And that's really kind of, lead by energy almost, so to speak, as Jonathan Byer loops it around in the S-curves and Dean Brummett sneaks by. But, just as we had said, I think he really kind of pulls that team along, and even when he's on a down week, the other 3 guys are like, all right, we're going to have a good week because Bowdler's having a bad week. So really good team chemistry amongst those 4 drivers.
And really, it's a lot of fun to watch them drive too, because they keep on going back and forth and saying, I'm the weakest link on the team. No, I'm the weakest link on the team, and none of them are weak links. And so it's always fun to listen to them as they say, no, I'm the worst driver on the track right now of my team, when it's just almost an outright lie.
Yeah, and I think, if I'm being honest, if I was a member of Stake Dance Racing, I think what I would do, if I want the team championship, I'd go to Daniel Bowler, and I don't think this by any means whatsoever do I think he's a weak link, but I'd say, Daniel, you're the weak link here. You're the worst of the 4 of us. And the reason I say that is because then Daniel Bowler is going to prove every week after that, Sean, that he's not the weakest link. That's just how Daniel Bowler works. So obviously I think he's one of the better drivers that I've ever raced around as well. But he's just got that kind of mentality that if you challenge him, it elevates him to the level that you're challenging him with.
Well, one car I wanted to point out, up in 3rd place, Brad Herman. So we haven't even talked about him all race long, and here he is up in 3rd for Bronco Motorsports. So a great driver out there, and just absolutely love watching his stream as well. So I know he streams all of his races. So thank you for doing that, Brad. It's good to see you out there, and he is out there in 3rd. That's likely where he's going to finish based on what's going on right now.
Yeah, and I mean, that's exactly right. Oh, that was about to change there. If that car rolled back a little sooner, Sean, this could have swung back to the favor of Marshall Stanley with only 5 to go. But, Brad Herman, solid silent night here, doing exactly what he needed to do. Actually, another car going to get off the track in front of our leader, so hang tight if you're still here with us. By no means has Jacob Smith won this thing yet with all the chaos going on around him. Daniel Keith's a tough braking there, 78 wheeling in front of our leader. David Duke has been putting in practice, and I think at the end of this, nonetheless, as long as his race doesn't go completely sour, I think he holds on and gains a few points on trying to make the cut.
Well, right now we got Jacob Smith coming around. Looks like he is trying to catch his own teammate, Dean Brummett, who is in 4th position, trying to put the 4th place car a lap down.
He's already got Jake Roel a lap down. What's the one thing that you can do here now? You've got Trevelyan a lap down. you want to make it a trifecta, Sean. You want to push. You give yourself, you keep focused. You don't become complacent. If you try to catch that 25 car, and then you have all of your teammates a lap down. So for the week, that will give you the ultimate bragging rights.
The entire time, but not sure if he's going to have enough time to get there. 4 laps to go. And as long as he keeps it safe, and you can see that right there, he checked up as hard as he could there because he did not want to get into the back of Greg Olnick. He did not want to ruin his race.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing there, actually, in my opinion, is why he checked up, Sean. I think had he went in there side by side with Olnick, I think this would have been a different race because I think it would have looped both of those cars. And one person that would have just been like a hungry dog, like to a pack of wolves, some fresh meat to a pack of wolves, would have been Marshall Stanley, hoping that he sat there for 30 seconds to give him a shot at this thing. So that's really, where we're at now is him just playing damage control, really, and how he is able to stay on, out in front of some guys.
And I think I'm just going back here to check. So, who do we have in front that's smoking? Somebody is smoking in front of Dean Brummett, I believe. Is that Taylor Smith? Not sure. I saw some puffs of smoke, so that usually means trouble, but looks like everybody's okay.
Yeah, I think it might have been tire smoke from Danny Setzer. I switched to Setzer there, and he got a little bit sideways there. You see another puff of smoke. So I believe it just was tire smoke.
Jacob Smith is going to pass Taylor Smith now. Now, of course, Taylor Smith is in the playoffs currently pointed in, but this race might not help that. Just depends on where everybody else shakes out. But Jacob Smith desperately trying to catch Dean Brummett just so he can get those bragging rights.
Yeah, and this is starting to worry me, Sean, because if you just push one corner too hard, then you open up the door for Marshall Stanley, because right now you feel like Superman with a 40-second lead, and actually Dean's just going to say, you know what, buddy, I'm not going to cause you to screw yourself. Go ahead, take the spot. I'll deal with it this week, because when you win, we win, and I think that's a great mentality to have.
Absolutely, and so, again, 3 cars in the top 7. However, Stake Dance Racing has 4 cars in the top 10, so Stake Dance might not be going away on the team points very, very quickly.
No, and realistically, I think that's going to, make it tougher for anyone else trying to join the battle. Obviously, as you guys know, it doesn't really matter to say the top 4 drivers as long as 3 drivers are there, because we do take the top 3 points. But, obviously from a team standpoint, when all 4 drivers are there, Sean, you can't really complain.
And so just going back really quickly, so Marshall Stanley in second place, so 43 seconds down. He is not going to catch Jacob Smith. About 27 seconds behind him, Brad Herman. I will say, Brad Herman, he turned me on to this fantastic ring called Tough Love Rings. So one of the sponsors for Bronco Motorsports, Tough Love Rings. So tlrings.com, and got me a really nice ring. I hate wearing my wedding ring because I can't work out in it or anything like that. And so these TL rings, Tough Love Rings, those silicone type rings, and so really good stuff. So I appreciate him turning me onto those. So check them out, tlrings.com.
Not going to lie to you guys, I've also checked them out. I'm going to be ordering one here within a few days, because I have a really bad callus from wearing a wedding ring, where like it just wore down the top of my palm and it was peeling off, and really inconvenient to do anything really, Sean, with a ring on. So I will likely be purchasing a TL ring here within a few days.
So Jacob Smith, I'm not sure what just happened there. We are on the white flag lap, but Dean Brummett just raced right by him. So I think maybe Jacob may have cut a corner and had to slow down a little bit. And so he is going to let Dean Brummett go by. But again, no damage here, no real worry here. He's got a 45-second lead on Marshall Stanley.
No, actually, just watching it back on the stream, Sean, it looks like he just slowed down, maybe let Dean back on the lead lap, because it was right in the middle of the front straightaway. I didn't see where, he had the opportunity to cut. He just kind of pulled aside and allowed Dean to go back by.
Well, Jacob Smith, this is basically his victory lap. So nobody's going to catch him, nobody even close. So about 3 or 4 more turns here, and he is there, and he is our champion for tonight. So Stryker Motorsports really found a gem in this guy, but Marshall Stanley, a disappointment today because of some lap traffic. Really, really bad deal for him for the second time this season. But Jacob Smith coming across the finish line, first place here at the Road Rumble 125 at the Glen.
Yeah, and a very, very fantastic race amongst these guys, especially drew a blank there, Jacob Smith, because, you know, the biggest thing I take away from this is pure domination just by that Stryker car. And again, whoever the guy's team owner is, got to feel pretty good about the 5th win on the season for Stryker Motorsports.
So we will let everybody cycle back through, and then we will pull up the results, and we will do what we can to speak to our winners tonight. But Jacob Smith just kind of going through his little victory lap here. It's kind of a long victory lap. It is a road course after all, but looks like we finally have pretty much everybody that's going to finish, I believe, is across the finish line, except for Dean Brummett there in front of him. So we'll pull that up. But right now from our scoring, Jacob Smith, first place. Marshall Stanley, second place. Brad Herman from Bronco Motorsports in third. Dean Brummett from Stryker Motorsports in fourth. And then Chad Wampler in fifth.
Having a little bit of a delay here, Sean, with trying to continue on down the list.
There we go. Now we will get, you know what, let's close that out. Let's see the burnout. Jacob Smith. Oh, and Taylor Smith didn't realize that he was doing a burnout. So Jacob Smith, congratulations. Great win out there, burning it down. And let's go to our results. So like I said, Jacob Smith, first place. Marshall Stanley, second place after a horrible deal for him. Brad Smith, third. Dean Brummett, fourth. Chad Wampler, fifth.
And in sixth place, salvaging a great finish, Daniel Bowdler. Jake Roel, seventh place. Eighth place, Mike Lepicki. Ninth place, Stan Hausman. And 10th place, newcomer to Rev Racing, kind of leading the way there, Brandon Key.
Well, out here, and this is something that Stryker Motorsports loves to do, get their teammates out there and all get donuts in at the same time. So one win is a team win as well. So just wanted to show that there before we move on in the standings. So 11th place, Matthew Johnson. 12th place, Troy Dow. 13th, Chris Massey. 14th, Greg Olnick. 15th, Sean Dice.
And in 16th place, we got Jonathan Byer. 17th, David De Silva after a strong run. And 18th, David Duke. 19th, Duncan Staraska. And 20th place, Devin Zimmerman.
All right, well, let's see if we can get some of these guys up here so that we can chat with them a little bit. Let's see if we can get Brad Herman to start off with. Bring him up into the broadcast booth. Brad Herman, Sean, and Brandon up here in the booth. How's it going, man?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing good, man. Great drive. It was one of those things where we didn't even notice that you were up near the top until all of a sudden you were in third place.
Yeah, honestly, before the first pit stop, I spun out and pretty mad at myself. So I just put my head down and kept grinding out laps, and yeah, I just found myself in third too.
Yeah, so I mean, I know I watched you do some practice sessions throughout the week, and just really honing those skills a little bit. So, what was it today that actually set you apart from those guys that most of which are lapped down right now?
Man, no mistakes was huge. Even though I made one of them, and breaking zones, I feel like made or break people.
Well, the one thing that I want to, say to you here, Brad, we've wrapped up the good news. Obviously, we've wrapped up the road courses for the season. But what is your game plan as we continue? We're rounding out the end of the regular season. We're starting to playoff run, and Bronco Motorsports has really kind of came on strong as a team. What can you guys do here to really capitalize on that last shot and maybe put another car or two in playoffs?
Yeah, it's win, man. It's win or nothing for me. I got too far back in points. I got one more shot.
All right, man. Well, we will let you get back to practicing that, and I got to thank you, by the way. So we were just talking about this just before the end of the race. So one of your sponsors, Tough Love Rings, just ordered mine the other day, and Brandon's ordering his here in the next couple days. So thank you for turning us on those rings.
A lifesaver, buddy. A lifesaver.
Thank you for looking at them and using the code. Anything helps. It's super appreciative.
All right, buddy. Anybody else you want to thank?
Just want to thank Chris for putting me on and you guys for broadcasting. It's great to listen to the race afterwards. You guys do a really good job.
Thanks, buddy. We appreciate it.
Appreciate that, buddy. Congratulations.
We'll get you back down there with your team. Congratulations on a third place finish. We will see you next week at Chicagoland.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to second place. Let's see if we can get Marshall Stanley up in here and, forgive him if he's a little bit disappointed, obviously, because, man, such a good shot at this thing, and it was a lap car that took him out. So Marshall Stanley, Sean, and Brandon up in the booth. Man, I got to tell you, I know you're disappointed.
Honestly, not that much. I think Jacob just had it today. I think he had the strategy. I think he just had the pace, and the strategy that I tried to go for was just not maybe the one to go for, and it was a little bit more ballsy. But in the end, I'm just happy that I made it out in one piece.
I want to chime in real quick, Marshall, and give huge props to you because I know, obviously I don't feel that, what happened while you were leading the race was anywhere near intentional, but it's so easy to just, get frustrated with the guy and, come in here and kind of slash him a little bit, even though, it wasn't intentional. So big kudos to you in my mind, of much respect earned because, you handled what happened very well. And I respect you more than you'll ever know for it. But, kind of in a must-win situation here, Marshall, as we end the playoffs, and not to put the pressure on you, but what can we expect for that 00 machine?
Putting in a lot of practice next week. I'm not usually the best at the 1.5 miles, or usually short tracks is more of my thing when I like on the oval side. So I just need to put in the time, and pretty much that's the short of it. And I think as long as things work out my way, I think I have a chance to get in at least.
Well, man, definitely get that practice in this week. We know you're a great driver, and just a couple of really bad breaks on these road courses. Otherwise, we'd see you up in the playoffs already. But we appreciate you being a good gentleman about it. And is there anybody that you want to thank before we drop you back down there with your team?
I just want to thank you guys for doing the broadcast Flashpoint. Had a fun time today. It was fun racing with everybody. I think we had a good finish with all of us. Everybody that ran today, and congrats to Jacob for winning it. He did a hell of a job.
All right, buddy. Well, we appreciate you, and we will see you next week at Chicagoland.
Alrighty, sounds good, guys. Have a good night.
All right.
You too, buddy. Congrats.
Thanks.
All right, and let's see if we can get our winner in here, fresh from celebrating. So Jacob Smith. Jacob, this is Sean and Brandon up in the booth. Man, 42 seconds. Is that the best you could come up with?
We had quite a bit of lap traffic there that we had to avoid. I think it could have been a little bit better, but I'm really not going to complain. A 42-second lead over second place is all you can really ask for at a road course.
Well, I will go ahead, Brandon.
I will say, obviously, pure domination, Jacob, but I'm a little disappointed, man. I wanted to see you being the only car on the lead lap. So, nonetheless, it was pure domination, and you just you showed up ready to go here, buddy. What is the plan for you? I've asked the other two guys, what's the plan for you the rest of the season? You're just going to try to knock off as many wins as you can take here from these guys?
I'm going to try my best here. I know I don't really have a shot at the playoffs coming into the season a little bit late, but just trying to extend the team points lead so we can win the championship here.
Well, man, so take me back to the race a little bit. So Marshall Stanley had a nice big lead, and actually you had the lead for a little while there, and then you came in for your second pit stop. Were you concerned at all that Marshall was on a one pit stop strategy, and that could ruin your night?
Not at all. I was watching the fuel levels the entire time through the whole week. We were doing a couple full fuel stints, and I think we played a much better pit strategy. Even if Marshall didn't wreck, I think we still would have had him by at least 30 seconds at the end there.
Well, man, it's just like Brandon was saying, pure domination. Congratulations on tonight. Anyone you want to thank?
I appreciate it. I'm gonna shout out my boy Alex. I know he's out watching right now. Work together, but other than that, just all the striker guys, we did a pretty good job coming home. I think Dean finished fourth, which is a solid finish. Jake ended up finishing seventh after almost blowing up coming across the line. Can't really ask for anything better. Get 3 top 10s.
No, man, great race. And we will see you next week, Chicagoland Speedway. Let's see if you can do it again.
Yeah, I'm excited for Chicago. It'll be a good race.
All right, buddy. Have a great night.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys.
All right. Well, let's take a look at next week, Brandon. So
I think this is going to be a huge one, Sean. We'll let you give the introduction, and I'll give my thoughts on what we can expect.
Well, we're calling it the Last Chance 150, and there's a really good reason for that. This is the last chance for a lot of these drivers to get in.
Yeah, and I think, it's your typical 1.5 mile oval, which for me is huge because, obviously NASCAR runs at a lot of different styles of racetracks, but, you look back at the past few years, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch, the guys that, and even, Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin this season, the guys that have found the most success on the 1.5 miles are always the odds-on favorites. So as we, knock off another 1.5 miles this week, as you said, the Last Chance 150 at Chicagoland, I think the biggest thing to look forward to is the guys who really surface at the front, because 1.5 miles are typically what you run more of than anything else, Sean. And that means, they say in football, defense wins championships. I think here in MSM, I believe the 1.5 miles will win championships.
Absolutely. And really, with all 6 of our races in the playoffs being 1.5 mile or 2 mile oval tracks, then definitely that is something that they are going to be looking at to try to dominate there. But as for tonight, pure domination on the track by Jacob Smith tonight. And man, he just had a good time with it. We will see what he can do next week at Chicagoland Speedway. Brandon, anything else that you're looking forward to that particular week?
Just the cut line. I know, we broadcast the IVCS together, and my favorite thing to do is watch the guys on and know what they have to do. My favorite part, overall in racing is when it comes championship time, just knowing, hey, so-and-so's got to have a 15th or better finish while this guy has to have, 36th or worse. So maybe try to put something together to keep you guys updated. But that's what I'm looking forward to, the guys that squeeze in and the guys that just miss it.
Well, man, tonight was a great night. It was fun to be here with you. Jacob Smith, our winner here at the Watkins Glen racetrack for the Road Rumble 125 at the Glen. So we will see everyone next week at Chicagoland. Everyone have a fantastic evening, a fantastic week, and we will see you then.